The lecture hall of the Galactic Military Academy buzzed with nervous energy as cadets from 17 different species settled into their seats. Lisa, a human instructor with sharp green eyes and military cropped auburn hair, stood at the podium with her arms crossed. Beside her, Vin Diesel, her co-instructor and former Special Forces operative, checked the holographic projection system one final time, settling down. "Everyone," Lisa called out, her voice cutting through the chatter. The room fell silent. 200 alien cadets, the best and brightest from across the galaxy, stared at her with eyes of every imaginable color and shape. Vin Diesel stepped forward, his muscular frame casting a shadow across the front row. "Today's lesson is about warfare tactics employed by member species of the Galactic Coalition. We'll be reviewing actual combat footage." His deep voice resonated through the chamber. A Zenthri cadet in the third row, a being resembling a crystalline mantis, raised one of its forearms. "Instructor Vin Diesel, will we be seeing footage from the Krell campaigns?" "Among others," Lisa replied, pulling up the first hologram. "We're starting with historical conflicts to understand tactical evolution." For the next hour, the cadets watched various species engage in combat. The Vortian fleet maneuvers impressed many. The Draxian ground assault formations drew appreciative clicks and chirps from the crowd. Even the brutal Krath siege tactics, while disturbing, were met with academic interest. Then Lisa's expression grew serious. "Now, we're moving to Earth military history, specifically human warfare." A ripple of confusion passed through the audience. Humans were relatively new to the Galactic Coalition, having joined only 30 standard years ago. They were known as traders, diplomats, and surprisingly talented engineers. But warriors? The concept seemed almost laughable to many present. Vin Diesel dimmed the lights further. "What you're about to see is footage from a conflict called World War II, which occurred on Earth approximately 200 years ago." The hologram flickered to life, showing grainy black and white footage. At first, it seemed unremarkable: soldiers moving across a beach, explosions in the distance. But as the footage continued, the atmosphere in the room began to shift. A Flixian cadet, a peaceful, jellyfish-like being, made a sound of distress as the hologram showed human soldiers charging directly into machine gun fire, their comrades falling around them, yet still they advanced. "They're not retreating," the Flixian whispered, its bioluminescent body flickering with anxiety. "No," Lisa said quietly. "They rarely did." The footage changed. Vin Diesel narrated in his measured tone. The Battle of Stalingrad. Duration, 6 months. Human casualties, over 2 million. The city was reduced to rubble, but neither side surrendered. A Urilian cadet, whose species was renowned for their strategic brilliance, stood abruptly. This is illogical." The tactical position was untenable. Why didn't they withdraw and regroup? Lisa met the cadets for eyes. Because withdrawal meant surrender, and humans don't surrender easily. The next series of holograms showed the Pacific Theater Island warfare, kamikaze attacks, the brutal close-quarters combat of jungle fighting. Several cadets began to exhibit signs of severe distress. Apaxian, whose species had evolved past physical conflict millennia ago, started hyperventilating into a respirator. "Instructor, please," called out a Zenthri, its crystalline structure vibrating with agitation. This level of sustained aggression, it defies all evolutionary logic. "Surely these are exaggerated reconstructions?" Vin Diesel's expression remained neutral. "Every piece of footage you've seen is authentic and verified. We're now moving to more recent conflicts." The hologram shifted to modern warfare night vision footage of special operations, drone strikes, urban combat in Middle Eastern cities. The technological advancement was clear, but what truly unsettled the cadets was the unchanged ferocity of human combatants. A video showed a human soldier, badly wounded, continuing to return fire while pulling a fallen comrade to safety. Another showed a medic running through active gunfire to reach injured civilians. Yet another displayed a small unit holding a position against overwhelming odds. "For 3 days straight without relief, they fight even when injured," observed a Draxian, one of the galaxy's premier warrior species, its voice tinged with something between respect and horror. "Not just injured, mortally wounded, and they continue fighting," Lisa nodded. "Humans have a concept called never leave a man behind. They'll risk entire units to recover a single fallen soldier. That's a young Krell cadet searched for words. That's tactically insane, perhaps, Vin Diesel said, advancing to the final hologram. But it's also why humans have never lost a war of survival. The last footage showed relatively recent peacekeeping operations where human forces had intervened to stop genocides, often taking heavy casualties to protect civilian populations that weren't even their own species. The pattern was unmistakable. Humans fought with a combination of advanced technology, tactical flexibility, and a terrifying unwillingness to accept defeat when the lights came back on. Lisa surveyed the room. Many cadets looked physically ill. The Flixian was openly weeping. Several Paxians had already left the room. "I don't understand," said a Zen-3 senior cadet, its voice unsteady. "How does a species this aggressive achieve space travel without destroying itself?" Lisa and Vin Diesel exchanged a glance. "That," Lisa said slowly, "is the question every species asks when they meet us. The answer is, we barely did. We came very close to extinction multiple times. But we learned what?" The Zen-3 pressed. Vin Diesel's expression softened slightly. "That the same intensity we bring to warfare can be channeled into protection, innovation, and cooperation. Humans are capable of extraordinary violence, yes, but we're also capable of extraordinary compassion. The key is choosing which to employ." Over the following week, exactly 103 cadets, more than half the class, submitted withdrawal requests from the Combat Tactics program. The administration was forced to issue a disclaimer for future courses involving human military history, but those who remained, including the Draxian and Zen-3 senior cadets, approached Lisa and Vin Diesel with a newfound respect. They had glimpsed something terrifying in those holograms, but also something worth understanding: the paradox of humanity's nature. As Lisa told Vin Diesel later, over coffee in the instructor's lounge, they needed to see it. Better to understand what humans are capable of now, as allies, than to discover it later as enemies. Vin Diesel raised his cup in agreement. And better they understand that humanity's greatest strength isn't our capacity for violence, it's our choice to use it only when we must. The Galactic Military Academy would never view their human instructors quite the same way again.